they can afford paying anything for anything. So they discovered what they don't see because they were there, they were forced to be there. Both of them, they decided to dedicate their money for the poor people. They will be sitting with Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman and Ali. Got my point? So now, in theory, they might be working to achieve Jahannam. When this test came in their faces, they discovered a big reality they were not aware, and they decided to change all of their life, all of their investments for poor, needy people, hospitals, orphanage, and everything for this. All of their life. They worked just to serve the people from the sake of Allah. They saved the life of 1 million people in the span of a time, let's say 50 years. They had, let's say, 100 orphanage in 15 countries. They did such and such and such. The ajr, they will receive with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam day of judgment. So the test, in theory, was something bad, which is sick kid. Are you with me? The end result was more than excellent. This is the mean. I'm giving you a simple example, by the way. In reality, it's not as simple as this. It's more sophisticated, okay? Things are, but I'm just trying to make it simple. The meaning of وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. You might hate something because you think it's evil, bad, not good, and yet it will be, by the will of Allah, it contains a lot of khair. This is the most important thing in this message, which is أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلهم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله إن نصر الله قريب. Now, in light of the same test and trial, we need to know, to appreciate to what degree we have an idea how big test the Sahaba went through till you and I became Muslims now. This deen did not come to us directly from Jibreel alayhi salam. True or false? Who transferred this deen to us from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The Sahaba. Then after the Tabi'een, the followers of the Sahaba, then you know all this. Many people, they suffered. They were put on trial. Many people, they fought to defend their aqidah. Many of them, they're tortured. I will give you a simple, those who attend, by the way, can you tell me how many of you attended with me the Seerah session? Just to see the percentage of attendees. There are about 50 to 60%, mashallah. Okay. Do you remember the immigration to Abyssinia, Al-Habasha? The narration of Salama, do you remember? The suffering of Amr ibn al-As, and what happened with the Najashi. They were about to be kicked out, how many big trials they faced, they were not able, when she explained, many things. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he left the place, then he came back again. Ammar and Sumayya, they were tortured, the first martyr of Islam, all of them, they suffered. But I will give you an example about, which, by the way, generally speaking, maybe many of us, we don't know it. But yet, some of us know it very well now. Now, when we see what happens specifically in Syria and Egypt, in specific now, and we can extend that to speak about Burma and India for Muslims. You tell me, Muslims in Syria, they were kicked out and killed. Why? Because they are Muslims. Simply. The regime was killing them, they are not Muslims. Those who were killed in Egypt, they were killed why? They want to practice Islam. Look at everything. People in Burma, Myanmar, in India now. What is the only reason that those Indian citizens are suffering? Why? Because they dance in the streets? Why? Because they're Muslims. Their identity is Islam. So it's not something unique that in the history still many Muslims are suffering now because of their religion. SubhanAllah. Now, look what Prophet Muhammad in this hadith, Bukhari narrated. Khabbab ibn al-Arat is one of the Sahaba. He has a very famous hadith called Khabbab ibn al-Arat. Please memorize this name. And try to memorize, those who know Arabic at least, to memorize the narration. Khabbab ibn Arat says, شكونا إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو متوسد بردة له في ظل الكعبة. He said, we complained to the messenger of God, may God's prayers and peace be upon him, while he was leaning on his sheet cloak in the shade of the Kaaba. فقلنا ألا تستنصر لنا ألا تدعو لنا. We said, will you not seek help for us? Will you not supplicate for us? Which means, the meaning of this, which means why not to end up this? Why to keep suffering 13 years in Mecca? Why to keep making da'wah عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى? Why to have all this discussion وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي, all these debates and discussions and torture? Why? Us, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to finish this, just خلاص. Let's finish it. Allah has a plan. And you are part of the test. And some people, they failed in the test, and some people, they succeeded in the test. Look now, Amr ibn Hisham, Umar ibn Khattab. They are relatives. They are very similar in terms of the characteristics and even the size of the body and the power and the charisma. Do you know that? To a degree, before Umar became a Muslim, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in a human sense, was making dua. Do you know what was the dua? Allahumma a'izz al-Islam bi-ahad al-Umarayn. He uses, oh Allah, give victory, give the izzah, give the power for Islam by one of the two Umars, Amr ibn Hisham, Abu Jahl, or Umar al-Khattab. Prophet Muhammad, by looking deep in the characteristics, he was thinking that those two, they are an amazing two characteristics. If one of them became a Muslim, Islam will have a big power. SubhanAllah. And by the way, one of them was of the big leaders of Islam, Al-Faruq, and the other was the leader of the Kufr. He was very powerful, but he took a decision to go to the other camp. Yani, okay, the case is there. Both of them, they witnessed. They have a very powerful tools and characteristics. Umar decided to take the camp of Muslims and Allah willingly. Amr ibn Hisham decided to take the camp of Kufr willingly. SubhanAllah. So, I mean, why I'm saying that? Because this is part of the test. Because Khabbab ibn Arat was saying, Ya Rasulullah, pray for us, supplicate. Let's finish it. No. As if you want to stop the whole idea of the test. No, you will be tested because some people will succeed, some people will fall. قال, will you not supplicate for us? He said, قال فقال قد كان من قبلكم يؤخذ الرجل فيحفر له في الأرض فيجعل فيها فيجاء بالمنشار فيوضع على رأسه فيجعل نصفين ويمشط بأمشاط الحديد ما دون لحمه وعظمه فما يصده ذلك عن دينه. He said, it was before you that men would be taken to dig for him in the ground and pushed in. Then a saw would be brought and placed on his head and cut into two halves. They used to cut the human body into two pieces. You know, with a saw. That we use it to cut the trees. They use it to cut the human beings, torturing them, the believers. Into halves and combed with combs. You know the combs? It's amshat al-hadid. You know the comb that we use it for our hair? There is iron comb, historically. When they want to torture someone, they bring like the clothes that we use it, like the hook that we use it to hang, for example, the meat or the sheep. You know, when you go to the butcher, it's you know, like this, like the hawk. It's called amshat. It's an iron comb with a very sharp teeth. They use it to throw it on the body, and they used to remove the flesh from the bones. This is how the believers, they were tortured. You know, still you are alive, but they throw it like this, then they take the flesh, and you witness it, still you are alive. But it's very horrible. قال لقد, he was telling them, believers before you, some of them used to be cut into two pieces, some of them they used to be combed with a very sharp iron comb, what is below his flesh and bone, so that does not prevent him from his religion. قال فما يصده ذلك عن دينه, that does not prevent him from his religion. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ continues, والله ليتمن هذا الأمر حتى يسير الراكب من صنعاء إلى حضرموت لا يخاف إلا الله والذئب على غنمه ولكنكم تستعجلون. He said, he continued, اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد, and God will complete this matter until the rider departs from Sana'a in Yemen, in the south of Arabic Peninsula, to Hadramaut. He feels nothing. It's 2 places in Yemen, okay, which take about hundreds of kilometers, long distance. He said, by Allah, the time will come that a person among you will be walking for hundreds of kilometers. He feels nothing but God, and the wolf preys on his sheep, but you are in a hurry, which means you will have the peace, you will have the tranquility, you will have the power, but don't be in a hurry. And by the way, this happened the first time with this literal exact thing at the time of Umar bin Abd al-Aziz. Umar bin Abd al-Aziz, they reached a degree, the justice and the adl among the Muslims, among the Islamic big empire or Islamic state, it reached a degree that they were not finding people that they deserve to have from the money of the zakat. No one is accepting the zakat because everyone is rich. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Because zakat at that time, it was not just money. Sometimes the zakat is, the wheat. Sometimes the zakat is the grains. Sometimes the zakat is dates. Sometimes the zakat is camels, sheep, many things. So grains and wheat, it was big quantities to a degree no one is accepting. They used to put it on the top of the mountains for the birds. Man is zakah. So that not to be ruined, because no one will say, alhamdulillah, we don't need it. When that happened, the justice, when the powers of Islamic teaching in full was applied, especially when the ruler, he was himself just against himself and his wife and his kids and his regime, which is, alhamdulillah, we have very similar in our Arab countries. As always, you keep laughing. Alhamdulillah, we have a good example now. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Anyway, so this is the idea of 214, verse 214, which is the concept of test and trial. حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله. Okay. Now, اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Now, next ayah, which is 215, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. They ask you, O Prophet, in what way they should donate. Say, whatever donations you give are for parents, relatives, orphans, the poor and needy travelers. Whatever good you do is certainly well known to Allah. Look, now this ayah is replying to their question. Ya Rasulullah, tell us, when we donate, what is the best way to donate? Give us, to whom we should be donating. Now, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied to them. He said, now, they should donate. Say, whatever donations you give are for. He is giving now what? The priorities in donations. But there is an amazing, beautiful message behind the categories. They say, number 1, parents, relatives, orphans, poor, needy travelers. Now, this ayah was revealed 1400 years ago. At the time when Arabs, pagans, They were doing what? Burying female daughters while still alive out of poverty. Now they are asking about where to donate their money. And on top of the priorities, poor travelers, strangers. You know what we are talking about? Social security. Social security 1400 years ago. 99% of people on earth, they did not know the system, but the last few decades they started discussing these things. Muslims, they were number one in this. You need to know that. You need to be proud of your religion, like parents. Give me one religion, one nation, one group, one culture, respects parents more than Islam. I challenge. You need to know. This is our text, this is our scripture, this is our Quran. So when someone asks about Islam, please quote this. 1400 years ago, now people used to rob, to kill, to kidnap, to rape, to burn, and to fight 40 years because of a race between two horses. 40 years, that's what about. 40 years. They were so arrogant and so ignorant to a degree that Allah called their time al-Jahiliyyah, the ignorance time. Islam turned them to give priorities for their parents, orphans. Who cared about orphans? Orphans, wherever you go in many cultures, simply they are killed, raped. Now, many orphans, they are under the, what they call, very nice terminology, human traffic. Very nice, human traffic. Not kidnapping, prostitution, no. Human traffic. Wow. They are genius how they coin the terminology. Human traffic. Stealing, kidnapping, and forcing them to sexual prostitution. Which is what? Human traffic. Now, it happens in all over the West. Now, am I exaggerating or this is a reality? We all know that. But 1400 years ago, Islam was forcing Muslims to take care of orphans. Part of your money. Let's go to the parents. One of the amazing stories that I heard about 20 years ago, a Jewish brother, he was a young Jewish man from New York City. For your information, if you don't know, the biggest percentage of Jewish community outside the state of Israel, they are in New York. You know that? Huge percentage. So a lot of Jews there. Anyway, a Jewish young man decided to become a Muslim. It's a free America. So he decided to become what? A Muslim. So he came to one of the Islamic centers in New York. He became a very nice Muslim, very good Muslim, practicing Muslim. One day he came to the Imam, like Sheikh Abdulaziz, and he said, Sheikh, my mother wants to have an appointment with you. She wants to ask you some certain question. He said, is your mother Muslim? He said, no. She's still Jewish, but she has some kind of questions. So the Imam welcomed her. He said, he gave an appointment. So out of respect, she's a Jewish lady, not a Muslim. She came wearing the very modest clothes, to the degree that you will think that she is wearing a hijab, as if she's wearing a hijab. So the Imam was confused. He said, hey, you told me that she's not a Muslim, she's wearing a hijab. She said, no. Just out of respect for the masjid, I'm covering my body and my hair, but I'm a Jewish. He said, okay, yes, please, how can I help? She said, I came to beg you to take care of my son, not to leave Islam. The Imam said, excuse me, I hope that my English is not that bad. You want me to do what? She said, I beg you to take care of my son, not to leave Islam. I said, wait. You are a Jewish? She said, yes. And you want me to take care of your son to be a Muslim? She said, yes. I said, no, there's something confusing. She said, no. She said, look. I'm a Jew. I will stay a Jewish. And I want to die as a Jewish. So forget this fight, okay? I came to you to keep my son a Muslim. He said, okay, explain. I don't understand why. She said, My son was not practicing for anything in life. He was just a drug addict and alcohol addict. Every day he used to beat me. Every day. When he became a Muslim, he became the best person on earth. The best person. I said, please, keep him a Muslim. Please. Now she's talking from pure, beneficial point of view. She's benefited. When he became Muslim, he became, because he realized the concept of بر الوالدين وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما etc. By the way, there is nothing in the Quran that has the weight after worshipping Allah like respecting and taking care of the parents. وبالوالدين, immediately Allah has ordained that worship none except Him and be kind to your parents and respect them. And even they say they were gathered with harf al-atf, wow, not thumma. Because in Arabic, wow is and. Thumma is and as well. But in Arabic, Arabic is much richer and much more accurate and much full of meanings than English. English is a very, very weak language. So in Arabic, when you say wa something, you mean this and, which is, they say, mutlaqul jama', which is these two things are together, regardless which is first and which is second. But they are together. When you say, do such and such, thumma, which means do this, then, they call that tufidu tartib ala tarahi, which means it gives an indication of order and status, which means start with this, then go to this. Allah did not say worship none but God, then your parents. He said what? Worship God, worship none but God, and respect your parents. The wow, which is and in Arabic, as if. Allah is paying our attention to respect, as in theory, as if both in one package. But he mentioned himself first, which means Allah is first and immediately. No gap at all. Parents. This is the meaning. Now, I challenge, if anyone can prove to me 1400 years ago and now, there is a system, cultural, racial, philosophical, just name it, gives this amount for parents like this. Wallahi, I witnessed many footage videos in China, especially the suburb areas. It's part of the culture of some areas in China. Elderly people, they are kicked out, and they were recording them because simply you are expired, we don't want you. They were crying, begging them, and they were kicking them out in some areas. Some people, they kick them out. And many people, they die and they don't. Their kids, they don't know that they passed away. Do we witness this or not? Yes. Now, look, the idea of retirement houses in itself, it's an indication of the destruction of the society. Because elderly people should be receiving a big care by their kids, whom supposedly they spend all their lives taking care of them. So when you destroy the society, you destroy the family, no one cares about anyone. Yes, you will have retirement houses. When my father spent 50 years to take care of me, then he became very weak. I'm the one, and my kids should be cleaning and washing his feet, feeding him, taking care of him. It's before my time. This is how in Islam we understand it. Now, if there is no one, no family, but if there's a family, it's a big sin. It's a big sin. And shame on him, and shame on her, the one who takes his father to or his mother to retirement house if he can't take care. It's by the way, it's one of the major sins. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, where do you find this? This is the beauty of Islam, by the way. So we need to understand, when this came, it's not just, okay, oh, nice Islam. No. It gives you structure in the society and the social security of the society. Wallahi, I was shocked when I know in many countries in the West, some people, they start participating, doing membership while they are in late 30s to do a membership for their retirement. Late 30s program, which means he starts to think that 40 years, 50 years later, I will be in this place. What? So you are waiting that you will be there? What kind of mentality is this? This means what? From now, I will enjoy myself and I don't care about my kids because simply I know that my kids will not take care of me. So I will enjoy and I will go there. When I'm there, I will die every day many times. Allah, I remember I myself happened with me. I was in the UK, I did my PhD in the UK. I remember the exact neighbor of me was a British man and woman. He was 72 and she was 71. So he had a very severe cancer. I lived next to them 3 years. 3 years. And unlike British ladies, the 71-year lady always used to speak with me. Unlike British people generally they don't have this kind of social like Canadians or Americans generally. British people they are something else. Really they are something else. Wallahi. And sometimes maybe you live 10 years, your neighbors will not speak with you. Unlike, the culture of, North America. Anyway, because I lived there 6 years. This unlike, she used to speak with me. So I learned from her. I witnessed with my neighbors 2 things directly by myself. The first shocking story was, I was once approaching my house and said, hey, guess who's here today? She started chatting with me. I said, I have no idea. She said, his daughter. Her husband, he was married from 3 different wives before she was the 4th one. Not in a row. Different times. So before he got married from this last one, which is the last years of his life, he married from different wives, and I don't know how many kids he has. I have no idea. She said his daughter is visiting him. So I said, in my mind, I said, what's the strange thing if a daughter is visiting her mother? What is the big thing? And is it something strange if a daughter visits a father? She said, excuse me, it's very normal. I said, no. This is the first visit since 16 years. I said, wait, where does she live? I was assuming she's in New Zealand, Australia, Canada. She was living in Birmingham, the same city. I was in Birmingham, the 2nd largest city after London. 16 years she decided to visit him the first time. So what they say, guess who's here? I said, Ya Allah. This is something I witnessed. Now the disaster was, I feel very sorry. A few months later, he was in stage 4 cancer. So he used to leave, I'm an eyewitness, he used to leave the house just in 2 cases. The ambulance used to take him into the emergency, or a special taxi driver like Uber, take him to the pub to drink. It's either when he's a little bit good, he drinks. If he's not drinking, he's in the hospital. Wallahi, just 2 cases. Anyway, but I have never seen not even one person gets into their house for 3 years. One day, I was coming back to my house. They are exactly next to my house, fully attached. Town, yes. I saw a lot of people, big crowd, and 2 black horses with a carrot, and a coffin. He passed away. So they came to him, and I was shocked to know that he has 9 sons. A king, all of them very tall, very handsome, very powerful, muscles like this. 9! I was looking at them. She told me this is his sons. I said, 3 years, none of them visited him once. I said, La ilaha illallah. Now the funny thing, they brought him the size of this table, white roses, and it was written in the form of Dad. I said, Ya Allah. What's this? What's this? And here comes, by the way, and I know about hundreds of cases of people, they become Muslims because of this. Yes? So be careful. Forget non-Muslims now. You Muslims, please be careful. After worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking care of your parents, your fathers and mothers, is number one priority in our life in Islam. Be careful. You have no right to scream in their faces. You have no right to shout. You have no right to react in any possible rude reaction. Not even the Arabic word is off. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا off. Now the Arabic terminology of the word off in our culture, in Arabic, when someone is annoyed by someone else, the least of showing unhappiness, that I don't care, okay? Just say, this is the least, the very, very good, nice person, the least rudeness. This is a major sin in Islam. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine? Be careful, so brothers, because in the West here, generally, many kids in your age especially, because of the media, because of the public schools, sometimes they are sitting like this, putting your foot like this, walking through, and your dad or your mom speaking with you. Okay, who cares? No. Who cares? I don't care. No. This is a major sin with me. Wallahi, be careful. It's not a joke. Wallahi, it's not a joke. So be careful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, وَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ وَالْيَتَامَ وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. I mean, the idea that I was just wanted to pay your attention, but I will finish now, inshallah, in 2-3 minutes, that always when you understand something about the Islamic rulings, the Islamic teachings, don't just take it as put it in its historical context. And understand what was the value when it was revealed. Got my point? So don't speak in our language today. What will happen? We have a big states now. If someone does not work, the state gives him. This did not happen in the history except with Muslims. So don't compare it with nowadays. Compare it with what used to happen when Islam came at the very beginning. And by the way, Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Can you imagine 1400 years ago when Romans were torturing millions, Persians were torturing millions. Umar al-Khattab once, he used to do what we say in our terminology now, like security or police check at night, patrols. Okay? Umar al-Khattab used to do by himself. This is called in the Islamic Arabic terminology al-asas. What is the asas? To do like policing or security check at night, okay? Direct patrols. Okay. Umar al-Khattab, he used to do it secretly without anyone notices, just to make sure that what happens in Al-Madinah, in the city of Al-Madinah, everything is okay. He does not depend just on the workers and employees just to tell him, Wallah, I see everything is okay, don't worry, alhamdulillah. No. He used to go by himself. So once he decided to go at night. It's an amazing story, and inshallah I will finish by it. So while he was walking, he noticed one of the houses that the son, or there's an infant crying loudly in a very annoying, sound. Then he shouted right. He said, "Ya amat Allah asfiti." Say, take care of him, calm him down, because you are making noise for everyone else. Then he left, he went to other streets, other places. He came again, still he's crying in a very, very bad way. Maybe he's influencing the people around in the neighborhood. It happened twice or 3 times. Then he became a little bit angry. He said, Ya Amat Allah, you, the servant of Allah, take care of your son. Please, don't annoy others. She said, Ilayka anni. He said, please leave me. Leave me alone with my, with my trouble, with my problem. He was talking with her from behind the wall. Then he said, what's your problem? She said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, قد فرض عطاء لكل مولود يفطم. الفطام شو يعني بالإنجليزي? When you stop breastfeeding, it's called what in English? After the 2 years of breastfeeding, feeding, it's called what? Fitam. You know what I'm talking about? In Arabic, when the mother stops breastfeeding, this is called fitam, which means the end of the need of the child for the milk from the mother, okay? So, this woman, she was very poor. She was very poor to a degree. She heard that Umar Khattab made a new law. This law says it's like child benefits. This is weaning. Okay. Okay. To stop breastfeeding, weaning. She heard that Umar Khattab, the Khalifa, he issued a law says any child reached the level of weaning or stop breastfed, by default, he deserves a child benefit from the treasury of the state, which means a salary, a monthly salary, like the child benefit that we receive now, exactly. What was the condition? Finish breastfeeding. So her child, she was very poor, and she wanted the money. The child is crying, he wants to be breastfed, and she's forcing him to stop and forcing him to eat a piece of bread by force. And he's crying, he can't eat, he wants to drink. She's forcing him because she wants to prove, because the way how they used to prove that he finished breastfeeding, to hold a piece of bread and at least to, to bite. So she was forcing him, and he's crying, he can't. When he knew that, he was shocked. He left her, with a big shock. The Rawi, the narrator, he said, جاء عمر الخطاب to the masjid for the Fajr, because this happened while approaching the Fajr prayer. قال والله ما فهمنا قراءته من كثرة البكاء. He was the Imam. So he kept crying. He could not control his tears because of crying. And when he finished, he said that by Allah, that I have not been justice to our kids. He said a commandment by the Khalifa. فَفَرَضَ فَرْضًا لِكُلِّ مَوْلُودٍ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ. He said anyone who receives a baby, anyone gives birth immediately, child benefit from the treasury of the state immediately. This happened 1400 years ago. Child benefit that some immigrants, they killed themselves to come to these countries, or it started to be in this country just a few decades. In Islam, 1400 years. You need to know that. So you need to be proud, by the way. You must. Actually, you have no option but to be proud of Islam. Wallahi. Because you understand Islam, you can't but to be proud. Because, the beauty and the power and the haqq of Islam forces you to be proud of it. And the fact that you are choosing to be a Muslim in itself is another story. Anyway, next time, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, inshallah, we will start talking about a very, very hot issue, which is كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. Fighting has been made obligatory upon you believers, though you dislike it. The concept of fighting in Islam, al-qital, when it's permissible, why, depending on what kind of benefits, why it's an obligation. Next time, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. See you next week. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لا مش ان شاء الله الله يسلمك
This is
No, stop. No, it's a stop. No, it's not counting.